Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. Emily Wilde #2 by Heather Fawcett. Whispers and warnings. Emily's day began like any other, with the sun peeking through the library windows as she pored over ancient texts on fairy lore. The musty smell of parchment and the soft rustle of pages filled the air, mingling with the sunbeams that danced through the stained glass, casting a kaleidoscope of colors onto the dusty tomes. But today, the usual tranquility was disturbed by the arrival of the ribbons man, a figure shrouded in mystery and old magic. His eyes, the color of twilight, seemed to hold secrets as old as time itself. "Emily," he whispered, his voice a blend of warning and wonder. "The path you tread is more dangerous than you know. Beware the Shearies. They are not what they seem." His presence, an enigma wrapped in the whispers of the library, compelled her to listen. He was the guardian of secrets, a bridge between the mortal world and the arcane. His warnings a beacon in the shadowy realm of fairy politics. Before she could question him further, he vanished, leaving behind a trail of silver ribbons that seemed to dance and flicker out of existence. Shaken, Emily sought out Wendell, her friend and confidant, whose knowledge of the Fae was unparalleled. "Wendell, I met the ribbons man again," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He warned me about the Shearies." Wendell's expression darkened, his usual playful demeanor replaced by concern. "Emily, the Shearies are tricksters, but they can be dangerous. We must be cautious." As he spoke, the air in the library shifted. A subtle hint of magic that had always lingered around him now seemed more pronounced, a whisper of his true nature that Emily had never noticed before. Their conversation was cut short by the arrival of Dr. Rose, whose stern face and sharp eyes seemed to pierce through their defenses. "Miss Emily, Mr. Wendell, I have reason to believe you've been meddling in things beyond your understanding," he accused, brandishing a thick volume titled The Theory and Practice of Dryadology. The tension in the room built as Dr. Rose's voice echoed off the ancient walls, the shadows seeming to lean in closer with anticipation. Wendell stepped forward, his voice steady despite the accusation. "Dr. Rose, we've done nothing but pursue knowledge, just as you taught us." But Dr. Rose was not convinced. "Knowledge or deception? I have evidence of your so-called research," he said, pointing to an article on fairy stones. "Explain this pattern, which, according to my sources, was fabricated." The lecture hall, once filled with the murmur of curious students, fell silent. Emily felt her heart race as he... Secrets of the Alps. As we navigated the winding paths of the Alps, evading the relentless pursuit of the Shearies, Ferris Rose's eyes darted anxiously between Wendell and me. "We must devise a plausible story to account for the chaos back at school," he said, his voice tight with urgency. I listened intently, still reeling from the stunning revelation about Wendell's fairy lineage. With the aid of fairy stones, we had unlocked a hidden door in the mountainside leading us to this serene alpine village. Though the villagers greeted us warmly, I couldn't shake the nagging sensation of being watched. "Wendell, I need to understand more about your background," I said, my curiosity burning intensely. "Why does your stepmother, Queen Lyra, consider you a threat to her rule?" Wendell's gaze flickered to Rose before he answered. "Lyra rules over one of the fairy realms. She fears that I, as the rightful heir to the throne, might challenge her power. My father, King Aaron, perished in a battle with another realm, leaving Lyra to seize the throne for herself." Rose cleared his throat, his eyes flicking between us. "Our priority should be locating Professor de Grey. She may hold vital knowledge about Wendell's past and offer insights into our current situation." "Agreed," I said, my voice steady with determination. "Let's divide and search for any clues or information that could aid us. We'll reconvene here at sundown to share our findings." As we ventured into the village, a sense of unease lingered. While the villagers exuded friendliness, I sensed they harbored secrets of their own. I stumbled upon a quaint cottage on the village outskirts, where an elderly woman named Elara welcomed me with piercing eyes that seemed to see right through me. "You seek something. Someone," she said. I shared our predicament, and Elara listened intently, her eyes never leaving mine. "I can guide you to Professor de Grey," she said, "but first heed my warning about these mountains. The fairy realms converge here, making it perilously easy to stumble into the wrong world. Remember, the fairies say in the mountains, paths are treacherous and doors are hidden." My curiosity piqued at her mention of hidden doors. "What do you mean by hidden doors? Are they like the fairy door we used to escape the Shiris?" Elara's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Fairy doors are not bound by the rules of mortal doors, child. They can manifest anywhere. In mountain folds, fog ripples, or ancient tree trunks. Unpredictable and elusive, only those versed in the right charms can open them." Recalling Wendell's use of fairy stones, I asked, "So, Wendell's knowledge of fairy magic and these charms puts him in danger from his stepmother?" Elara nodded gravely. "His understanding of fairy magic is indeed impressive, and it makes him a marked target. Now come. I have something that may aid your quest." She led me to a room filled with artifacts and ancient tomes, presenting me with a worn leather book adorned with intricate symbols. "This guide to the fairy realms may prove invaluable during your journey." As I turned the pages, I gasped at an illustration of a fairy door, a shimmering portal pulsating with otherworldly energy. "What can you tell me about this door, Elara?" Her eyes clouded with a faraway look. "That, child, is a gateway to the very heart of the fairy realm. It lies hidden within the Grunasage Valley, guarded by formidable enchantments and creatures. Only the brave and resourceful will find their way." Skulls and Secrets. The village of St. Liesel was a picturesque haven, nestled in the heart of the Alps. Emily, Wendell, and Ferris Rose had escaped the chaos of the school, using fairy stones to evade the pursuing Shiris. As they settled into their cozy cottage, Emily's curiosity got the better of her. She began to wonder about Wendell's true identity and the secrets he kept hidden behind his enigmatic smile. "Wendell, can I ask you something?" Emily said as they sat by the fire sipping hot tea. "Of course, Emily," Wendell replied, his eyes gleaming with amusement. "What's your past like? You've never told me much about it," Emily pressed on, her eyes locked onto his. Wendell's expression turned somber and he gazed into the flames. "My past is complicated," he said finally. "I'd rather not dwell on it." Emily changed the subject. "Tell me more about your kingdom. What's it like?" Wendell's eyes lit up, and a faraway look crept into his gaze. "My kingdom is magical," he said, his voice filled with longing. "It's a place of snow-capped mountains and sparkling lakes. The air is crisp and the people are kind." "I've always wanted to see it," Emily said wistfully. "One day, perhaps," Wendell said, his smile tinged with sadness. As they chatted, Dr. Rose entered the room, a look of excitement on her face. "I've found something," she exclaimed, holding up a dusty old book, a map of the Alps, marked with fairy doors and ancient secrets. Emily's eyes widened as she took the book from Rose. The pages were yellowed and worn, but the markings were clear, intricate symbols and diagrams that seemed to dance across the page. "This is incredible," Emily breathed. "We could use this to find more fairy artifacts." Rose nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. And with Wendell's knowledge of the Fey world, we might just uncover some long-lost secrets." As they pored over the map, Emily noticed that Wendell seemed distant, his eyes fixed on some point beyond the window. She followed his gaze and saw a figure watching them from the trees. A tall, imposing figure with skin that shimmered like the morning frost. It was a fairy, one of the folk, observing them with an inscrutable expression. Emily's heart raced as she whispered, "Wendell, there's someone outside." Without a word, Wendell rose and approached the window, his presence commanding yet cautious. "Do not fear," he said softly. "It is the guardian of the forest, a watcher of the paths between worlds." The fairy's gaze met Wendell's, and a silent understanding passed between them. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the figure vanished into the shadows of the trees. Turning back to Emily and Rose, Wendell explained, "The folk are curious about our quest. They sense the changes we seek and the secrets we hope to uncover." Rose frowned, her scientific mind wrestling with the reality of fairy guardians. "But what does it want from us?" she asked. Wendell's eyes were thoughtful. Respect, caution, and perhaps assistance. The folk have their own struggles, their own enemies. As night fell, the trio made plans to explore the marked locations on the map, each point a step closer to unraveling the mysteries of the Fae. They knew the journey would be fraught with peril, but the promise of discovery and the allure of ancient magic drove them forward. In the days that followed, they encountered wonders and horrors alike. The skull they found by the lake became a key to understanding the past, a remnant tune. The silver scars. The alpine air was crisp and biting as Emily and Wendell, with Ferris Rose in tow, made their way through the dense forest of Grunasage Valley. The trees, ancient sentinels with knotted trunks and sprawling branches, whispered secrets of an old world, while the ground was a canvas of fairy mischief, strewn with glittering dew and the occasional shimmering footprint. "Wendell, your hand. It's fading." Emily gasped, her breath forming clouds in the cold air. Wendell looked down at his translucent fingers, a look of frustration crossing his features. "It's the curse of the Fae," he murmured. "A spectral tether that's pulling me away from the mortal realm, making me less substantial, harder to hold on to life." Rose, still nursing the wounds from their last encounter with the Shiris, watched with concern. "And what of my scars?" he asked, touching the silver lines that now marred his skin. "Will they fade as well?" "No," Wendell replied solemnly. "They are a permanent reminder of the fairy magic that saved you. But they come with a price." Their journey led them to an abandoned brownie house, cleverly concealed against the mountainside. Inside, amidst relics of forgotten time, they discovered a map hinting at the locations of the fairy kingdoms. "Look at this," Emily exclaimed, unrolling the ancient parchment. "It shows the way to the nearest kingdom, hidden from the modern world." "The folk are known for their secrecy," Wendell added. "They don't take kindly to outsiders." "Then we'll have to be careful," Emily said determinedly. "We need to find a cure for your curse, Wendell, and I think the folk might have the answers." As they ventured deeper into the valley, the air grew heavier, and an eerie silence descended upon them. The map led them to a clearing where a lone figure stood, shrouded in mist. It was Danielle de Grey, her eyes wild and her clothes tattered from her journey through the fairy realm. "De Grey, what are you doing here?" Ferris Rose asked, his voice laced with suspicion. "I could ask you the same question," she replied, her gaze flicking to Emily and Wendell, "though I suspect we share a similar quest." "We're searching for a cure," Emily said, stepping forward. "Wendell was poisoned, and we believe the folk might have a remedy." De Grey's eyes narrowed. "The folk are not known for their charity. Their magic comes at a cost. Are you prepared to pay the price?" "We have no choice," Wendell said, his voice steady. "I'll do whatever it takes to be rid of this curse." "Very well," De Grey said, turning to lead the way. "Follow me, but stay close. The folk are unpredictable, and the dangers are many." As they ventured further into the heart of the valley, the mist thickened, and the air crackled with unseen forces. The group stayed close together, their eyes darting warily as they navigated through the treacherous landscape. "Tell me, Wendell," DeGray said, her voice carrying above the whispering wind. "Why did you use your magic to heal Rose? It was a risky move." "I had no choice," Wendell replied, his voice tight. "Emily asked me to, and I couldn't refuse. Besides, the Shiri's poison was killing him." "And what of the consequences?" DeGray probed. "The silver scars are more than mere decorations. They've marked him, made him vulnerable to Fey enchantments." "I know," Wendell said grimly, "but it was either that or let him die. I made the choice to save him, consequences be damned." DeGray nodded, a hint of respect flickering in her eyes. "A brave decision, but one that has altered his fate. The scars will forever link him to the Fey realm, whether he likes it or not." As they neared the hidden kingdom, the mist parted, revealing a path lined with luminescent flowers that swayed without any breeze. The sight was mesmerizing, yet each step felt heavy with the weight of the weight. Assassins in the mists. The Alpine village square was unusually quiet as Emily and Wendell sat at a small table outside the local restaurant. The villagers' eyes were fixed on them, a mixture of astonishment and fear evident in their stares. Wendell's gaze was distant, lost in thought, while Emily fidgeted with the edge of her cloak, her mind racing with the events of the past few days. Suddenly, a chill swept through the square and a dense mist began to roll in from the surrounding peaks. The villagers quickly retreated to their homes, leaving Emily and Wendell alone in the thickening fog. "Something's not right," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible over the eerie silence that had fallen. Wendell nodded, his hand instinctively reaching for the hilt of his sword. "We need to be ready for anything." As the mist grew thicker, figures emerged, their forms shadowy and indistinct. Emily's heart pounded as she recognized the assassin sent by Wendell's stepmother, Julia Haas. "We're not engaged," Emily called out, hoping to dispel the tension. "It's all been a terrible mistake." The lead assassin, a tall man with piercing eyes, stepped forward. "Mistake or not, we have our orders." Wendell stood, drew his sword, his voice steady despite the tremble in his hand. "Then you'll have to go through me to get to her." The assassins advanced, their weapons drawn. Emily's heart raced as she searched for an escape route, but the mist had enclosed them, leaving them vulnerable. "Wendell, be careful," she cried as the first assassin lunged. Wendell deflected the attack, his sword clashing against the assassin's blade. "I won't let them take you, Emily. Not while I still draw breath." As the fight unfolded, Emily's mind raced. She recalled the illusions that had haunted her in the mist, the shifting landscape, and the lights that had lured her astray. She knew she couldn't rely on her senses alone. In a swift movement, she ducked under the table, grabbing a fallen chair. With a battle cry, she swung the chair at the legs of one of the assassins, toppling him to the ground. Using the momentary distraction, she dashed toward the edge of the square, hoping to lose herself in the mist and find help. The sound of clashing steel and grunts of exertion filled the air as Wendell fought valiantly. He parried another blow, his sword arm tiring. "This isn't just about our engagement," he panted. "It's personal for her. She wants me gone." "Why?" came a voice from the mist. Emily skidded to a halt, recognizing the voice of Donnie, the mysterious figure they had been searching for. Known as Danielle de Grey, she was a central figure in the fairy realm, determined to prove the interconnectedness of the realms through her trade routes theory. Wendell had been searching for her for most of his adult life, drawn to her knowledge and the hope she represented. Emily, though not as closely connected, had been drawn into Donnie's orbit through Wendell. Donnie stepped into view, her green hair shimmering in the faint light. "Your stepmother has a talent for reading people, doesn't she? She must have offered them something they couldn't refuse." "You know her?" Wendell asked, blocking another strike. "I know her type," Donnie replied. manipulative and skilled at getting what she wants. We have to get out of here, now. With a final surge of strength, Wendell pushed back the assassins and rushed to join Emily and Donnie. Together they fled into the mist, the sounds of pursuit echoing behind them. As they navigated the treacherous terrain, Emily shared her encounter with the illusions and her fear that they might never escape the fairy realm. Danny listened intently, her eyes flashing with determination. "We'll get through this," Danny assured her. "We just need to keep moving and stay one step ahead of those assassins." The three companions pressed on through the labyrinthine paths, the castle looming ever closer. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the tang of iron from the battle behind them. Castle's massive stone walls rose from the mist like a specter, its battlements jagged against the darkening sky. They could hear the distant roar of waterfalls cascading down the mountainside, the sound mingling with the howls of creatures hidden in the fog. As they reached the castle gates, the heavy wooden doors creaked open, as if anticipating their arrival. The interior was lit by flickering torches, casting long shadows that danced across the stone floors. Tapestries depicting the history of the fairy realms hung from the walls, their colors muted in the dim light. Danny led them through the echoing halls, her familiarity with the castle evident in her confident strides. "This place has stood for centuries," she explained, "a refuge for those who navigate the realms. It's been a sanctuary for me during my research." They descended a spiral staircase, the air growing cooler as they moved deeper into the bowels of the castle. At the bottom, they entered a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. In the center stood a table covered with maps and ancient texts, the evidence of Donnie's work on the trade routes theory. Wend. The Nexus Quest. The Nexus Quest. The morning sun peeked through the dense canopy of the enchanted forest, casting a mosaic of light and shadow on the path ahead. Emily, with her rucksack slung over her shoulder, led the way, her eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of the elusive nexus. Wendell, still weak from his affliction, followed closely, leaning on Ariadne for support. "Are you sure we're going the right way?" Ariadne asked, her voice tinged with concern. Emily nodded, her determination unwavering. Danielle de Grey said the nexus would be near the heart of the forest. "We just need to keep going." As they ventured deeper, the forest seemed to come alive with whispers of the unseen folk, and the air thrummed with magic. Suddenly, a rustling in the bushes caught their attention, and a small creature with wings like gossamer and eyes that sparkled like dewdrops emerged. It was Snowbell, the fairy they had encountered earlier. "Ah, I've found you at last," Snowbell exclaimed, fluttering around them excitedly. "I can help you find the nexus." Wendell eyed the fairy warily. "Why would you help us?" Snowbell landed on a nearby fern, his wings folding neatly behind him. "Because your quest is part of a larger tapestry, and I wish to see the pattern completed." Emily exchanged a glance with Ariadne, who nodded in agreement. "Then we accept your help, Snowbell," she said. The group continued their journey, with the fairy leading the way, his knowledge of the forest proving invaluable. They dodged hidden dangers and navigated through the labyrinthine woods until they reached the heart of the forest, where the nexus awaited, just as Danielle de Grey had promised. The Enchanted Forest. Emily and Ariadne ventured into the Enchanted Forest, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They moved cautiously, aware of the shadows cast by the towering trees. The air was heavy with the scent of moss, and the silence was broken only by the rustling of leaves. As they navigated the treacherous terrain, they encountered the mischievous Boggart, whose cackling laughter sent shivers down their spine. They dodged the webs of giant spiders and navigated the deceptive paths laid out by the fairies. "We need to reach the stepmother's castle," Emily whispered, her eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. With determination, they pressed on, the forest whispering secrets of the past with every step. They learned of Wendell's family, and the ruthless rise to power of the Queen, their resolve strengthening with each revelation. As the castle came into view, its towering spires piercing the sky, Emily and Ariadne steeled themselves for the challenges that awaited. "This is it," Emily said, her voice steady. "Our fates will be decided within those walls." Together they crossed the threshold, their friendship their greatest shield against the unknown darkness that lay ahead. The Veil Spell. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow over the fairy realm. Emily's heart pounded with a mix of fear and defiance as she faced the Queen. "You want me to help you remove your own son?" Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of her shock. The Queen's eyes glinted with a cold fire. "Wendell is no threat to my reign, but you, with your clever mind and mortal unpredictability, could unravel everything." As the Queen's enchantments wove around her, Emily's thoughts raced. She ached for Wendell, the gentle prince who had shown her wonders beyond her wildest dreams. "I need time to think," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Time in fairy is a fickle thing," the Queen replied with a sly smile. Retreating to her chamber, Emily felt the weight of watchful eyes. Among them a comforting presence, Lord Tarrant, the Queen's estranged brother, whose motives were as enigmatic as the shadows that clung to him. He had left her a way out once before, and now he offered another. "You are in a dangerous game, Emily. But I believe you have the heart of a true fae," Lord Tarrant said, emerging from the darkness, his eyes reflecting the moon's pale light. "Whatever path you choose, it will change fairy forever." Emily's resolve hardened. "I choose to save Wendell, no matter the cost." Lord Tarrant's lips curved into a faint smile. "Then we must act swiftly. The Veil Spell is our best chance. It will conceal your escape and protect you from the Queen's wrath." "But how can I trust you?" Emily asked, the doubt clear in her voice. "Because, Emily, in the game of fairy courts, even a queen's brother has his own play. Now, let us begin." They worked through the night, Lord Tarrant teaching Emily the intricate gestures and ancient words of the Veil Spell. As dawn approached, they stood together in the heart of the fairy realm, ready to cast the spell that would envelop them in darkness and lead them to freedom. With a deep breath, Emily began the incantation, her voice steady and clear. The air around them grew colder, and a column of darkness rose, swirling with whispers of a forgotten age. She could feel the veil's power pulsing through her, a mix of terror and exhilaration. As the darkness enveloped them, Emily reached for Wendell's hand, finding strength in his touch. Together, she whispered, as they stepped into the unknown, the Veil Spell their only shield against the Queen's inevitable fury. Chapter 9. The Silva-Lupi Adventure. The Silva-Lupi Adventure. The Silva-Lupi was a place of ancient magic, where the trees whispered secrets of the old world and the air shimmered with unseen forces. Emily, Wendell, Ariadne, Snowbell, and Orga had ventured deep into its heart, seeking answers and refuge from the relentless pursuit of the Queen's guardians. "Keep moving," Wendell urged, his voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. The guardians were closing in, their sinister forms casting long shadows as they moved through the forest with unnatural speed. Emily stumbled, a sharp pain shooting through her leg. She cried out, and the group came to an abrupt halt. "What's wrong?" Ariadne asked, her voice laced with concern. "The magical substance inside me is spreading," Emily gasped. "It's been affecting me for a while now, and I fear it's getting worse." Without hesitation, Snowbell rushed to her side, supporting her as they continued on their path. The others watched anxiously as they hurried along, dodging gnarled roots that seemed to reach out to trip them. The forest felt alive with danger, every shadow a potential threat. As they ventured deeper into the Silvalupi, the air grew heavy with an otherworldly energy. The trees loomed taller, their branches intertwined to form a canopy that blocked out the sky. The only light came from the faint glow of fairy magic that clung to their surroundings, casting an ethereal hue upon the group. "This place is like nothing I've ever seen," Ariadne whispered, her eyes wide with wonder and trepidation. "It's as if we've stepped into another realm entirely." "Fairy has many secrets," Wendell replied, his voice low and filled with awe. "This forest holds ancient powers that even I don't fully understand." Suddenly, a piercing shriek split the air, causing the group to freeze in their tracks. The sound seemed to come from all around them, echoing through the trees like a mournful lament. "What was that?" Emily asked, her heart pounding in her chest. "I'm not sure," Wendell said, his eyes scanning the surroundings warily. "But whatever it is, we should be prepared for the worst." As they stood poised for danger, a figure emerged from the shadows. Mora, Wendell's stepmother and the queen of the realm, stood before them. Her regal presence commanded attention, her amber eyes glowing with an otherworldly light, and her face bore the marks of ancient wisdom and untold secrets. "I have watched your journey with great interest," she continued, her voice echoing with a power that seemed to resonate with the very essence of the forest. "The path you choose will not be easy, but it is yours to make. Choose wisely, for each step will shape the future of this realm and your own fates." The group exchanged a look of resolve, their decision unanimous without a word spoken. "We will continue," Wendell declared, his voice steady. "We understand the risks and we are ready to face whatever challenges the Silvalupi has in store for us." Mora's lips curved into a mysterious smile, as if she had anticipated their choice all along. "So be it," she said, and with a wave of her hand the forest around them seemed to shift, opening a path that had not been there before. "Go forth, and may the wisdom of the Silvalupi guide you." With a final nod to Mora, the group stepped onto the newly revealed path, their hearts heavy with the gravity of their choice, yet lightened by the hope that they were one step closer to their destiny. Behind them, Mora watched, her gaze lingering on the brave souls who dared to defy the odds, before she too disappeared, leaving only the whispers of the forest.